Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the You, Me, and BTC podcast. We've been chatting for a few minutes already now, and I think this will be a fun show. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker.
And we have two amazing, super fantastic, out-of-this-world special guests with us today. Number one, Michael W. Dean, host of Freedom Fiends, which airs on LRN.FM, and a developer and thinker behind BipCoin, not Bitcoin, BipCoin, and Dot-Bip, which is a DNS type system that he's hoping to build on top of BipCoin. And those are some of our topics for today with first guest Michael W. Dean. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm honored, man. I actually contacted you guys. I usually don't do that, and actually, when people contact me and say interview me, I usually say no, just because I'm like, oh, don't bother me. But we also, out of like over 1,000 shows on the Freedom Fiends, we've done about 20 interviews. We don't do many. You guys do more than that, don't you? Of interviews. I heard one show about you guys. There was no interview. The other thing is like, I contacted you because I wanted to be on your show specifically, and I haven't contacted any other shows and said, hey, interview us.
Well, that means the world.
I really like your show. I'm not kissing your ass. If you think I'm kissing your ass, I can say horrible things about you too, but I really liked your show. I was like, what the fuck is this? When I heard it on LRN driving around in my car.
Well, I gotta say that means the world, and it all comes down to, I guess, which episode you listen to, and I'm glad you caught a good one, because you never know with us. We've gotten some hate mail before, so it could happen, a bad episode, or maybe that means it was a good episode. I don't know, but well,
hate mail means somebody's listening anyway.
Exactly. Well, that voice was our next guest, Derrick Slopey, who does a little bit with Agorist hosting, and he is also helping out with these projects. So, Derrick, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, good to be here.
He does a lot with Agorist hosting, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, great to know. I've heard great things about it, so I hope people will look into it. But yeah, let's get started then with BipCoin. I guess I think that's the easiest place to start. So,
Derrick, can we have Derrick speak up a little bit? He's seemed about half the volume of you guys to me.
How's that, guys?
Perfect.
That's better.
Sounds
like you're on radio, son.
Good to be here tonight.
Audio Nazi.
This is what you get when you have an unchecked police state. Is live sound checks. That's what Angela Keaton said before she quit the Freedom Fiends recently.
Oh man!
Michael sent me this microphone so that I would sound good.
I did.
I think Angela is our most, I forget the word we used, our most frequent guest. We've had her 3 times, I think.
She's great.
Yeah, I think we've had her the most. So, BipCoin, there we are. So just tell us what the heck it is, Michael, and what you're planning to do with it.
Oh, it's just a clone of Bytecoin. Okay, let's go home.
All right, see you guys next week. Peace.
No, basic thanks. Peace out. Basically, it is more or less a clone of Bytecoin, not the latest version, but the last non-beta version of Bytecoin, with nifty branding of kitty cats, and not stupid kitty cats like Catcoin or Kitacoin or whatever that thing that went nowhere was, and not something else like Dogecoin. It's actually the cat that lives in the house. My wife and I, one of them. And let's see what else. What's unique about it? Not a whole lot. But we're getting there. There's reasons why you should care.
It's good stuff.
Other than this, I'm getting the due diligence, total upfront, painful honesty out of the way, so we can really talk about, so people don't go, oh, they're just trying to hype this thing.
Well, yeah, that's one of the first things that I would ask too. So we'll get there too.
It's a CryptoNote coin. There's about a dozen of them. There's about 640 cryptocurrencies traded on exchanges. We're one of them, but we're in the small, tiny class of them called CryptoNote, which are the ones that have a little bit different code, a lot different code, and a few different things about them that are basically improvements on Bitcoin and basically built-in mixing of transactions. So there's enough people using the network, and there are now, with BipCoin, you can send basically really anonymous transactions that you cannot look at the blockchain and say, 200 bips went from this address to this address. It won't tell you that.
Yeah, I had a fun time with CryptoNote a few days ago. I've heard of it before, and I've heard of the coins and stuff, but I never actually dove into it until I started talking with you. So I decided to go to the CryptoNote website and read some of the explanations and the white paper and stuff. And it's fascinating stuff. I mean, I know a little bit about cryptography because I like Bitcoin and I support Bitcoin and encryption and stuff. And I'm decent with math and I'm a developer and stuff. So I could understand a little bit of it. And
join our team now. We need you.
Well, I mean, if you need help, I'm if I could find time, I'm all for it.
I pay you in buttons and stickers. Did you get the buttons and stickers?
I have not as of yesterday, but I didn't check today. So, but
man, you will be festooned with buttons and stickers if you come work for us, son.
All right.
Don't steal him away from this podcast. He's keeping this running.
Buy buttons and stickers with your Bitcoin.
Oh, we sell. Yeah, we already sell. We take BipCoin for buttons and stickers too.
When people send us merch, I don't like to tell Tim because then he thinks he deserves some of it.
And he's like, shut up. Don't mention that, please. Don't mention that and the T-shirts.
If he wants some and you guys didn't get enough, I'll send more. I'm very
we'll be good.
I cyberbag so I can be generous with
He'll just have to wait a month until I'm home for Christmas because I'm not shipping them across the country for him.
I'll ship them across the country. Tim, talk to me later.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Well, hey, one thing about CryptoNote that I want to ask is, I know some of the top anonymous coins right now are Dash and Monero, and I've heard great things about both. We even had Monero as one of our first big sponsors. They sent us to a Bitcoin conference in 2013, I believe, maybe 14.
Nice.
And that was a ton of fun. Wow. But I haven't.
We'll send you to the 7-Eleven.
Nice. All right.
Buy you a hot dog.
A big gulp or whatever.
Oh, one of those hot dogs? I don't want one of those.
Yeah, we don't have that big heroin money that Monero has. Somebody actually made a meme, an awesome meme that was like, 2 panels left and right, and the left side had our logo with the kitty cat, and on the right it had Monero's. It had Fluffy Ponies, the domain developer. It had a fluffy pony, which is kind of his icon, and it said on the left, it said, BipCoin, we have kitty cats. Monero, we have heroin.
Yeah. What about kitty cats on heroin? Are those allowed anywhere in there?
No, but somebody said that the cat, my cat, whose name is BipCat, we named it's BipCoin is not named after Bitcoin. BipCoin is named after the after the cat BipCat on the logo. Who someone said looks like a cat who smoked too much hash. There's no hash in my house. I don't do drugs, but BipCat is really surly and loving and needy, which is probably how someone who smoked a lot of hash would be. So really sweet and cranky.
Well, that reminds me. You slipped there and said BipCot. I totally forgot to mention that too. That's probably my favorite project from you guys. I've written. I haven't released them yet, but I've been slowly working on some WordPress plugins, and my first idea was to, the easiest part is the header, so I'm going to put the BipCot license in the header, and so that's been sitting there for several months now, and I love that. So for our listeners, go for it, Michael or Derek. Tell us about BipCot.
Well, BipCot, the BipCot no government license is something that Derek and I came up with a few years ago on earlier projects we did, like the MeowBit plugin. We did the MeowBit plugin for Namecoin back when we thought Namecoin had a chance. No, it's still traded. Like, people laugh when they like dismiss me when I say Namecoin's dead, because it's alive and well and it's in the top 30, market cap cryptocurrencies. But that's basically because it was the first altcoin, and it's very easily and commonly merge mined with Bitcoin. It's kind of like the sludge at the bottom of the beer vat that you make into brewer's yeast, which has some value, but it's just a byproduct of mining Bitcoin. It actually has the second. Did you guys know this? That Namecoin has the second. Well, this may be different now with a couple of the new currencies, but it has one of the largest hash power networks.
Okay. Wow.
It's huge because it's
because of the merged mining. Now something else. Right. There are some other merged miners now, but I don't know what they are. There's at least one other prominent one. Yeah,
but Namecoin, I say it's dead because it's had 5 years to be used for distributed DNS, and there's like 100,000 squatted domains, and there's like 30, .bit websites. I own 10, Derrick owns 10, and the, Namecoin developers own 10.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's had its chance. It's not going to make it. There's fundamental problems with it. And, I'll get into that, but people say, oh, you just don't like Namecoin. No, you can't talk about what needs to be done to make distributed DNS work without talking a little about what's wrong with Namecoin. Derrick, you had a question, sir?
Yeah, well, the Fiendphone license came out. That wasn't what we were initially licensed it under. It was something else. We changed it to
it was the Stallman license.
BipCoin license, yeah.
That horrible virus of a license.
But we did originally release Meowbit under the BSlick Internet Policy Commission Outreach Team brand.
BipCon. Yeah, BipCon.
Which shows that we really have a long history of telling you that you're doing the internet wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you mentioned Fiendphone there. You guys just have project after project, and it's all great stuff. Fiendphone just saves a ton of money for a bunch of people. And just even your website, Fiendphone, I've been through there several times, just reading up on the audio tutorials. I'm wearing these Sony headphones on your recommendation, so...
Yeah, I've been doing audio. I'm 52. I've been basically learning to record and doing home audio since the 70s, and for what I could do. And I never had a lot of money, so I basically learned how to do really high quality audio for very little money. And one of my hobbies is teaching that to other people, especially libertarians and anarcho-capitalists and anarchists without adjectives, just because I feel like, and I feel this way about everything, and it kind of drives everything I do and why I do so many projects for free, donation-based, never seek investors because I don't want to be beholden to anybody. Basically, I feel that liberty is never going to be really, really mainstream as long as everyone's audio sounds like crap. Like, it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's not rocket science, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to get good audio. And most people doing podcasts spend twice as much on a microphone as I do and sound an eighth as good,
I was at a WordPress conference a few weeks ago, and somebody was talking about podcasting, and one of his ideas or points or whatever was that, you could start in 10 minutes with a $10 headset. And I shed a couple tears because it's technically possible, but even if you spend $80 on the classic, Blue Yeti, that was a disaster for me. That's what I started with.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it collected audio, but from the entire room, from the guy breathing in the corner. So that was a fun thing to get rid of, but. And
my heater, I just went up to turn my heater off because it kicked on. Most people be like, oh, it's cold. It's winter. It's 1 degree. It's 1 degree Fahrenheit in Casper, Wyoming right now. And it's about 64 to 62 degrees. Actually, I'm looking at my thermometer in my room, but I am suffering to make this audio good because I care about it and I want it to sound good. And it's not really suffering because I don't want the listener to suffer. So I got up and turned my heater off when it kicked on just now, and I muted my mic to do it, to walk across the room. You didn't hear it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh, geez.
I'll tell you a problem
the Blue
with
Yeti,
WordPress.
the Blue Yeti mute button. That's deadly.
Well, the Blue Yeti is Satan, and it costs twice as much as the mic I recommend, which is the Audio-Technica 2005 USB. There's also 2 other acceptable mics under $75. You can go to fiendphone.com and click on the 20-minute audio school link.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
And it tells you how to do all of that. And, you don't just need the mic and then set it on the table stand that comes with it. You throw that in the trash You get a microphone stand that goes on the floor that puts it in front of your mouth, and then you put a 99-cent foam pop filter on it, and you're good to go. And then, wear headphones, you have the speakers on, and speak like you're on radio, son.
The
thing about WordPress, you said you wanted to put the BipCoin license in the header of something on WordPress plugin.
Right.
I love that. And if you send me an email with a link to it, I'll add you on the BipCoin no government license site as something that's licensed. We collect them all as we can. And there are big things like Cell 411, it's 100,000 users, and it's changing the world and eliminating the need for cops. That's licensed BipCoin no government license. And Virgil, the creator of it, will yell at cops on the internet when they review his thing. They'll be like, "You violated the license by reviewing this," by giving, they say it's a threat to the police. But here's the thing: the WordPress plugin site, WordPress.com. When you put a plugin on there and download it, people can download it automatically. You cannot use the BipCoin license. You can include it in the text or the description of the headers, but it's not acceptable. And because it's not considered open source, even though the source is open. The Open Source Initiative yelled at me for calling it open source, and apparently they are the central scrutinizers of the open source world. They told me I couldn't call it open source, or to please stop calling things licensed BipCoin open source and quit calling it an open source license because it is not open to the government or the police.
Yeah, there's got to be a loophole in there, though. I mean, are the police really people? So it still is open to all people.
Ooh. Wow. Them's droning words, son. Because a friend of ours made a really cool WordPress plugin called Fiend Ban, which he put on that. You can get it on there, and it basically does hell banning. You know what hell banning is? It's the best kind of banning there is.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's where when commenters are bothering you, and you hell ban them, they can still post, but no one else can see their posts. Yeah. It's maddening. Trolls. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, nice. That was my idea.
You had mentioned that term over a year ago, but recently I've noticed sites are doing what they're calling shadow banning.
Same thing.
What the difference is between
same thing.
I mean, it's just like the Reddit word for something.
So Derrick, really quick, since we've done a bunch of projects together, and I'm not a programmer, but I come up with ideas and I work proactively and write kick-ass tutorials and everything that goes with it, would you recommend that programmers do projects with us and with me? Am I an ogre, or am I someone who's rewarding to work with, or a little bit of both, or honestly, we're trying to bring people in?
Yeah, I mean, you know where you want to go, and you find a way to get people there, regardless of what their skills and aptitudes are. And absolutely. I mean, we've done some good things. I mean, it does take certain types of people work well together, and some don't, and I know that you've run into people that you don't work well with, like the developer that you had initially on the Free Speech Me project. That didn't work out too good.
He was a Namecoin dev team, that's why.
But I mean, I think the biggest issue was that you guys wanted to go in two different directions. Michael, you really know where you want to go, and you have a vision, and the projects that I've worked on you with have been a lot of fun.
Well, I wanted to go to the direction of getting adoption. He didn't want to go in that direction.
I don't know everything about you, Michael, but if you're talking about being an ogre, that made me think of a post you did somewhere about why you're no longer supporting Fiend Phone. And then maybe that's the kind of stuff that,
I support it, but I don't do tech support for it for free.
Yeah, that's what I meant, right.
Because basically, so to get that thing made, before I really knew Derrick, I had complete vision in my mind of what it had to be, what the criteria had to be. Tried to find people to do it, didn't have money to do it. Basically, it was like, this thing needs to exist in the world. What it is free software, not in the Stallman sense, but in the sense of it costs no money and the source is open, that allows people to speak point to point, unlike Skype that goes through a central server, adds latency, and basically you can use all your bandwidth for it, and there's no noise control. So you have to have good headphones. You can't use it with a speaker. Like Skype is made to sound okay with any system. Phone is made to only sound good with a decent mic and headphones, which don't cost a lot. But there's a little, like, I would never recommend Fiend Phone for a show that like Tom Woods, who interviews someone different every day. He has to use Skype because it takes like an hour and a half to get somebody up and perfect. I can do it in 10 minutes, but to get somebody perfect with it, there's a learning curve, but it's perfect for a show with 2 or more hosts who don't, have other guests on usually who are not in the same location. And it
regular site-to-site connection.
Right. And it replaces a $1,500 to $3,000 piece of equipment called a Comrex that radio stations use for remotes and for remote hosts. And it does about 95% of as good of a job as that very expensive piece of equipment. And that's that cost of the equipment is per user. Like each person on each end needs one.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it replaces that, for free. So I really thought this needed to exist to help my show, The Freedom Fiends, which has between 10 and 20 hosts at a time, but not at the same time, like 2 or 3 a night, but we have a rotating cast of a lot of hosts. And so I needed it for that, but I also wanted to help Liberty, help other shows sound better, to help get people to the idea of hey, people shouldn't have politicians making up arbitrary rules and cops pointing guns to enforce them is like Martian to most people. So, but if it has good audio, it's Martian with good audio. If it's Martian with horrible audio, they're not going to listen for 10 seconds. So Derek, I finally got Derek to want to do it, and I tried to raise money to help do it. We did 2 Indiegogos, raised probably a total of, $1,400 or $1,600. Most of it went to Derek. He did about $10,000 worth of work, and we released it as our gift to the world. Then I spent 2 years doing free tech support to try to get more adoption of it. It has adoption, but more people want to use it. And it's kind of tricky. So I ended up doing free tech support for people. Occasionally one would send me $5 or $2 or say thank you or link us on their website. But a lot of times,
say they were going to send you money and then not send it.
Oh yeah. Several times, people paid me to do extensive, set this up, and I was like, okay, $75, and I do a couple hours work. They'd be like, great, it's working fine. My radio station, and they'd never send me the money.
Oh man.
And that combined with people doing tech support is hell. It's hellish. Do you guys do it?
That's not in my job description, but as a web developer and the only tech person at my company, yeah, all the time.
As a WordPress plugin developer, I bet you do it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it not at all my favorite.
Here's what I find too. How people in general are decent, but 1 in 10 will be really snitty with you and yell at you even when you try to do them a favor for free. It's 4 times that much with stuff for podcasting and radio, because think about who wants to podcast and radio. People who think they're important enough that other people should listen to them.
Oh, definitely.
True. Like Tim. Yeah, right.
My opinions matter.
So I finally blocked comments on the website and removed the ability to comment. And actually, WordPress is so peace, love, everyone should have free speech even on your property. It's great software. It's world changing, but it's made by Frisco hippies. And I used to live in Frisco. I know that species. They don't make it easy to remove every comment ever and remove the ability to comment ever again.
Yeah,
that's hard.
That bugs every site I've ever worked on.
There's a plugin. You need a plugin called Shut the Fuck Up. It just does that. Really, I think you would get donations for that. For people that are sick of tech support, just shut the fuck up. But really, you got to make it clear that without comments, a WordPress installation.
Man, that is just on the name. Get that in the WordPress store, man.
Fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know if they let it in the repo, but if I'm selling it anyway.
That's $1 million BipCoin idea, man. You can have it. Free.
Oh yeah,
Bip got it.
Yes. So I guess we still have a lot to dive into with BipCoin. Are we good to roll back there?
That's Derek. I'll be back in a minute. My cat got fixed today. I really got to go check up. He's not
all
happy.
right.
Hi, have you heard about BipCoin?
Not Bitcoin, but BipCoin. Bravo, India, Papa, Coin. BipCoin is a new cryptocurrency that you can start mining today for free on ordinary computers. Unlike most altcoins, BipCoin is not a clone of Bitcoin. BipCoin is based on entirely new, more recent, and better code called CryptoNote. So unlike Bitcoin, BipCoin has truly untraceable transactions, and we're working on adding distributed DNS functionality to BipCoin. We're calling this .Bip, and it will provide uncensorable domain names in an easy-to-use interface. Unlike previous systems attempting this, .Bip will be simple for both a website owner and for people viewing websites. This will get it the worldwide adoption we need to keep speech free, and cyber squatting will not be a problem. Please help out with a donation or just share this with your friends. If you can't chip in some cash or Bitcoin to save free speech around the world, because there are incoming regimes that hate honest criticism. Go to BipCoin.org. Once again, that's Bravo, India, Papa, Coin.org.
Derrick, tell us some of the details about BipCoin, why it's better, well, why you like it more than Bitcoin, and why it might even be better than Bytecoin or some of the other CryptoNote coins.
Well, I'm not going to say this or that is better. I mean, it's an anonymous coin, a truly anonymous coin. You know, more like you do better comparing it to Dash than Bitcoin. Although it's primarily just based on Forknote right now with a BipCot no government license. What we'd like to do, of course, is introduce the .Bip. Name resolution service to it, and that's exciting. And why that's better than Namecoin primarily is because we'd like to, make it easier to adopt it.
Yeah. So what are some of the fundamental differences from Namecoin? Because that was one of the biggest topics in the white paper was what some of the flaws with Namecoin. Even though you love Namecoin, it had serious flaws. And so what are the differences? What did you fix in .Bip?
Well, one of the big things we'd like to do with .Bip is to have a registration fee that fluctuates on real world value rather than the value of the coin.
Yeah.
The cost of registering a name in Namecoin was something like 0.02 Namecoin fixed. And as Namecoin's value dropped, it got cheaper and cheaper to register names.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially free to register names. What we plan to do with BipCoin is to tie it to the price of gold so that we're not focusing on, any particular currency. I mean, gold has a pretty much constant value, or has had a pretty much constant value historically, so we can expect that to continue. And if it doesn't, we can affix it to something else. But the idea
we could use steel. We could use aluminum. Anything that,
right.
is commonly traded, used every day in commerce and manufacturing. We could use pork bellies. and to make it clear, we're not doing what some coins have done, which is try to assign a value to a particular unit of our currency, like Steam dollars or Steam plus minus the third, whatever. I don't even understand their thing, man. It's
Me neither.
It sounds like a multi-level marketing pitch. It's probably not, but when people try to explain the different Steam dollars and Steam units and Steam, I'm like, this sounds like it's made up to confuse people. But so like Steam dollars or something in Steam is supposed to be pegged in value to the US dollar, which is kind of bizarre because and other currencies have tried to do that, but it's like, you don't decide that.
I don't think it's possible to do that. Us pegging the registration fee of a name to gold is going to have a stabilizing effect on it, but it's not going to stick it to a
right. Let me finish
to a value.
Let me finish that thought. Okay, so we're not saying a BipCoin will be worth $1. Somebody misunderstood that, like in the white paper. No. And it's very clear in the white paper, but people read what they want, think what they want when they read it. So, somebody actually, there's something called PEEP coin, PEEP coin, that has a 200-page thread on BitcoinTalk.org. It's hilarious. The thing, I think the only usually they delete things that look scammy, but I think this looked so hilariously scammy that the moderators were like, let's leave this up for shits and giggles. And one of the things in there, it's there's no wallet, there's no coin. It's basically and it's on exchanges. The guy paid to get this on exchanges, but there's no there's no coin, there's no wallet, there's no blockchain. And it's basically like an Excel spreadsheet on this guy's computer. And he's like, the first 1 million peep coins, they'll be worth $1, but I'm only selling them for like 20 cents. And like, this is the funniest post I've ever seen on Bitcoin Talk. And there's some funny ones. Somebody quoted the guy saying, a peep coin is worth $1. He quoted just that part of it instead. That's not how any of this works.
Can we get this link in the show notes,
Oh,
guys?
I was just going to say that.
This.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's what like, not to pick on Steemit because, they're like worth billions of dollars because they've got the Chinese government investing in them. But, well, don't they? I mean, but I'm basically saying like, we're not trying to say that any amount of BipCoin will be worth this amount of gold. What we're saying is like, when I wrote the white paper in November this year, I looked at the price of gold and was like, okay, this, that. So I basically thought long and hard about this and thought a good price to register a domain would be $8 and half that for the first year of like what $8 was in November of 2016. And that was an amount that was like too much to really have. I mean, people will still squat stuff. They'll still go get like computer.bip and drugs.bip, but they're not going to run the dictionary. They're not going to run the dictionary
right
through and register every name like literally happened the first month of Namecoin and squatting all of them. Nobody's going to do that. They're not going to squat they're not going to squat much at $8. But it's not too little and it's not too much. It's a good amount. So anybody who can basically, if you can afford like web hosting on a cheap web host, you can afford $8 for a domain.
Right.
And we're tying it to what $8 worth of gold, like in the price in gold. So the software will check the price of gold on a bunch of websites for what it is that day and tag it to like say, okay, $8 worth of 2016 November, $8 of gold would buy this many BipCoin today. So that's going to be the price of registering a domain today.
Okay. I'm following a little bit, but I need a metaphor or a scenario. So let me ask you this. Are you saying that in November, what's the actual number? That is it what, a couple grams or something is worth
200 milligrams of gold. That's the price always to register a domain in .bib, except for the first year it'll be half that. But let's just say forget that part. So
you're running like
for a year
for people to do it early.
For a year registration.
Okay, is that for? Okay, so let's say, the price of gold doubles next year. The price will still be 200 milligrams, right?
Yeah, because doubling or halving, 50% to 200% wouldn't really be that much of a problem. It would still be doable.
Yeah.
Gold doesn't do that though.
Right. I'm not worried about that. I'm just trying to figure out what, how the price.
Basically, if it's within 50% either way of that, it's going to be okay. If it's $6 or $12.
I've seen the cost of domain registrations go from $40 to $7, over the last decade and a half.
Yeah.
And SSLs have gone down a lot, but it's not an order of magnitude change. Gold isn't likely going to move an order of magnitude.
Yeah, and registering with Namecoin was in huge orders of magnitude, and I'm not exaggerating, but along the lines of like the what was the Republic in Germany before Hitler, where like they were burning.
Yeah, when they were burning all the
where they were burning money to stay warm because it was worth more than firewood. Yeah, like the order of magnitude, like in 1 month at one point, the price went from so low to so high to so low with Namecoin. It was a 4,500% change, which is unacceptable because that goes from you squat everything because it's so cheap to you don't really want to buy a domain because it's too expensive. That's what we're trying to avoid by pegging to gold.
But it was also always very cheap, really.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
For a minute, it was kind of expensive, but
so I'm not. That all makes sense, and I'm not super worried about price swings. But there's still one missing link for me in terms of how the pricing is set. Is there? So if it's 200 milligrams of gold always, that's fine. That makes a lot of sense. And does that mean that you also, in order to get the price of a domain name in BipCoin, you have to figure out gold to BipCoin, basically, which means probably from gold to dollars and then dollars to BipCoin? Yes. Okay.
It could be gold to dollars or gold to euro. Either would work, but yeah.
Well, you're not going from dollars. Yeah, you just need the BipCoin amount of the current registration.
Yeah, you just need some way to get from gold to BipCoin.
Yeah. You don't really need to do this as a person who's using the software and registering the domain. You're going to know how many BipCoin at any particular time it's going to cost to register a domain in the next block.
Exactly.
What we'll do is build the price of that name registration based on the price of gold into the consensus rules. And
so can you tell me more about that? That was a big part of the white paper. And I'll be completely honest, it sounds like a big hurdle to make that reliable, but just tell me more. I want to know.
Well, yeah, you may have, if there's large price swings in gold, you may have some consensus issues. What we need to do is have a window of which, it's 200 milligram-ish.
Yeah, and if it goes like too far away from that price, like, say 75% either way, it just goes with the last good price until it adjusts.
So that'll be a rule for block acceptance and not for transactions, because the price of registering will always be published in the last block.
So how are they gonna find the price of gold? I read it, but I wanna just get it out there.
Well, that's something that will probably have to evolve along the way as things change, but it's a pretty known thing, and there's a lot of other, blockchain-based systems which are looking to price blockchain events, I guess you'd say, into, trying to get real-world events into the blockchain via consensus.
The way that I've come up to do with it
going to be discoverable. I should be able to say, I can't do it right now, but I should be able to go to my Amazon Echo and say, what is the price of gold?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
She doesn't actually do it right now, but there's a lot of things out. There's a lot of services out there. The default Google search is going to return the price of gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to rely on source, though, of course.
The way originally I was thinking of doing it with APIs from a bunch of gold, selling places, but I looked into that. We actually have a friend who runs a precious metals place, Roberts & Roberts, who said he'd let us use his, but we would need more than one. And then I looked at it, and actually, unlike cryptocurrency APIs, which are usually free, like most exchanges are like, yes, here's our API, please make apps. Most gold APIs want to charge you money, at least for the up-to-minute ones. But we wouldn't have to be up to the minute. Gold is stable enough that yesterday's price or even 5 days ago's price would work. It just the plan I have so far. Right. I think checking the price of gold once a week and the price of BipCoin once every 8 hours would be fine. And I think I wouldn't do it much more than that, because you would probably end up.
We could do a 5 day average. It's whatever consensus rules we haven't spec'd this out yet.
Right.
But
right.
It's very doable.
Right.
And really
I've come up with
the specifics are just a balance of overhead for the miners versus accuracy.
If I sound like I'm getting frustrated, I'm not frustrated with Derrick. I'm frustrated with Skype, because I'm so used to using Fiend Phone. And with Fiend Phone, you can talk naturally. It's true duplex. So you can kind of you don't cut the other person off when you start talking. It's weird. Right. It's just more natural.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get a word in, when Derrick doesn't even talk a third as much as me, but I'm like, really quick. I want to get this before we move on. I can answer your question. Here's the way to get the price of gold without using APIs that cost money, that would probably cut you off. if you started using them. And I believe that this is a killer thing that's so simple. It took me, a non-programmer, to come up with it. This is the kind of stuff that programmers would way overthink. And I think that people should start adopting this for everything, for getting real world events into blockchain stuff. So if you have a list, if the daemon had a list of, say 20 search engines, and there's a lot more than just Google, and there's ones that aren't even in English. But even if you go to a Chinese search engine and you type the phrase gold price in US dollars per ounce, that exact phrase, I messed around with a bunch of phrases, that phrase in English without quotes on any website in any language, the first page of what it returns, over half of them will be in dollars,
right,
in numbers, the current price of gold, and they're all within 5% of each other. So if you have a list of 20 common, or even 50, search engines, including Chinese ones that were all in Chinese, they return this in dollars. You just get the first 5 of them, and you take any result on the first page of what would be the first page in a browser, but not, in the daemon. It would be, you take anything that has a dollar sign followed by, numerical digits, and you stop at the decimal place, and you take that amount and average it. I guarantee, I bet Bitcoin to BipCoin, you're going to have within 5% of the price of gold right now.
Yeah. So, I love that idea, because I read all about it. And I mean, at Gold APIs, I've been there too, because we have some tools on our site that convert from Bitcoin to millibits to euros to yuan or whatever. And
pretty soon it'll be Bitcoin to gold. That'll be common.
Yeah. And I had gold and silver. I hope they're still working. I ended up just having to scrape the price from some site. And so I like that idea. I know it's necessary, but I have one more question. What do you do, even if the websites and the search engines are reliable, and you can trust that you got enough of them so that they can't really manipulate them or anything? And even if you do that, what happens when different people's averages vary at all, even if they vary by 1 cent? What then? Well, who decides the consensus there?
Well, I think it's really similar to the Bitcoin transaction fee, that you can put in a low enough fee that your transaction will never get confirmed, right? So you put in a little bit extra. The wallet can say, we see the last block was at, whatever bips for a domain registration. Hey, maybe we won't get into the next block. Maybe we should add another 5% just to be sure.
Okay.
It's not going to be that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it could be a wallet recommendation. I mean, it's really just, we're just basing this on consensus rules. You've got to have this much to get into the next block. We don't know about the block following, but it's probably going to be pretty close, especially if we do a 5-day rolling average. The blocks are every, minute and a half. So is that right?
Every 2 minutes, but of course it varies.
2 minutes. Yeah.
With the hash power of the network, like any cryptocurrency or most. I'm sure there's one out there that's decided that their unique thing is going to be, we won't do that, but it would make it hard to mine.
We'll recalculate every block. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't, non-recalculate coin. Here's an idea. It's a bad idea, but no, here's my idea too of how this will look. What it'll look like is, and there's different ways this can be done. The one I've come up with would be, the daemons would have a random number generator that when it's time to check the price of gold or BipCoin, the nodes would all return a random number, so they wouldn't all try to check it once. And the first time, once 5 are returned that are within a consensus rule, meaningful, realistic, difference.
Okay.
Basically, they're actually the price of gold. Then it tells all the other ones to stop checking with the next block.
Okay. Yeah, this is all new stuff, and I like the ideas. I still think it could be a little tough to play out. I mean, with all the heated debates over just the block size, in Bitcoin, it seems
that's why we're not trying to do this on Bitcoin. We're doing it with a different, I mean, people do stuff on Bitcoin that puts things on the blockchain, but it makes people want to murder you. It really does. I mean, they're like, that blockchain's ours, and really a blockchain is anybody's unless it's one of these fintech bank blockchains, that I don't even call that blockchains. I say that a blockchain isn't really a blockchain if you have to see my driver's license for me to participate.
Oh, yeah. That's
like this, the BipCoin blockchain is not ours. It's anyone who's using it, but not enough people are using it. This thing we made that people are going to want to lynch us if we try to change it at this point. So
right, yeah,
and we also, instead of starting a new coin, we're starting with a coin that's a few months old because we have miners. We have like between 40 and 80 kilohash per second of mining at a time. Transaction. I mean, you can send 10,000 bips and they confirm almost immediately, almost every time, like better than Bitcoin, which has way too many transactions and growing pains for the number of nodes because there's not really that much incentive to run nodes for a lot of people versus, a new coin, which would have nothing, would start with no nodes. So I think it makes sense to use an existing coin that's little, but big enough that things are working, and it's been working, well.
Yeah, I agree that makes sense. It
also should be a CryptoNote coin, really, and it should be something covered by the BipCoin no government license.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to run your I won't call this an anti-government thing, but it's a extra government thing. Like it's a parallel road away from their road. Like, I don't need that. Let's do our thing.
Right.
You really should license which really describes every blockchain project except the fintech ones that need a driver's license to drive on their roads. Literally a copy of your driver's license, because they're using them for that kind of banking. But yeah, humans.
So Michael, can government employees resolve .bip names?
Yeah, it depends. There's the latest version of the BipCoin no government license, which you can read by going to bipcoin.org. We added what we call the mailman exception. Didn't you name it that, Derrick? I think you did.
I did not, no.
Okay, but I like that name.
No,
so basically, like
another fiend.
Basically in the world we live in, so many people, such a high percentage of people have some tacit connection to working for the government or contracting or something, that we put in a thing that basically says, and it's called Section 8. It's Part 8 of the license, but it's named after the welfare government housing stuff, Section 8. So Section 8 basically says your mailman and future Snowdens can use this because how are they going to learn otherwise? But, it's still forbidden for people who carry a gun for the government. I carry a gun, but I'm anti-gun for government. I don't want.
Yeah.
So if you carry a gun or order the guns of government or finance the guns for government, or you're one of these brutes from one of these 3-letter government, agencies, you still can't use it. Now, Section 8 at the end of it says, unless removed by the license holder. So Section 8, you're allowed to and encouraged if you want. If you're a real stickler, if you're one of these, I'm such an anarchist, I don't drive on the